Okay, we are back for Sunday dessert, and I am excited. I have made this homemade scratch chocolate cake since I was an upper teenager, and I have my Medicare card. So, it's been a few semesters, and it's my daughter's favorite cake. It's very, very shiny, very, very moist cake, and it's delicious. So we're going to go ahead. Look it, not even a mixer. It doesn't require a mixer. Actually, the recipe calls for no mixer. 2 cups of flour, 2 cups of sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, like the yellow box with the Arm & Hammer thing, and a half a cup of cocoa. And if you notice, I have it heaped because we really like the chocolate. I always add just a few tablespoons more. So we're going to mix our dry ingredients together. You can use a sifter if your cocoa or sugar or anything is lumpy, but this isn't really. It's got a few lumps in it, but it'll be okay in just a second here. We're going to go down in here deep and get that flour. You can look in the bottom of your bowl if you've got a glass bowl. Make sure you've got, see, look it. I thought it was pretty much mixed together. And your whisk helps to sift it, so super fast, super easy. There we go. Whoops, I'm getting a little fancy there, right over the edge. Okay, now we're going to add 1 cup of buttermilk, 1 cup of oil, just regular vegetable oil, canola oil, whatever you have, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 2 eggs, and I'm going to poke them because they'll break up and mix in easier. I'm going to just mix those. You wonder why I used a plastic fork, because a regular fork tipped my bowl over. I will reuse that plastic fork. I'm going to just mix it for just a second in here so I don't scramble my eggs. And 1 8-ounce cup of strong, hot, has to be hot. Look it, I just brewed it. Hot, strong coffee or espresso. Or you can just use hot water if you don't drink coffee. Not boiling, just hot. Because that's going to activate that baking soda combination here. And it's kind of a, it's looser than a store-bought mix. When you just get it all stirred together, and you're going to want to clean your whisk out so everything gets moist. It's already almost done. How much time is on here, Erin? 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Can't even get your mixer out for all that. Look at. I'm going to look down in the bottom, make sure, oh, there's a little bit of dry under this side. Just make sure you got everything mixed up. That's how easy this is. Look at. See it foaming? It's going to raise beautifully. See all the bubbles? Now get out your 9x13 pan. You can also do this in a bundt pan. I'm going to preheat my oven. And it is 270. It's almost there. Good. Pan. I'm going to go through with my... And when I say cocoa, I left this out for a reason. I don't mean like Nestle Quick that you mix in with milk. You need to have a cocoa, baking cocoa. All right, that's it. Sorry about my elbow there. And you can stick this right in the oven, just like this. But we're going to come back in a minute. I'm going to kick it up a notch. And this would bake just like this, 35 minutes at 350 degrees. But I'm going to come back in just 1 minute and show you a little extra. Okay, we are back for part 2 of an option for you. We got our 4-minute chocolate cake right over here. And in this bowl, I have, this is just an option. You can bake that cake, just like I said, bake it for 30 minutes to 35 minutes, depending on your oven. I've even had an oven bake it at 25 minutes. So just kind of start watching it. I always set my timer for 25 minutes and check it. You don't want it wiggly in the middle at all. And so if you choose to, if you like Mounds bars, that's kind of what this cake is like. And so I have room temperature softened cream cheese. This is a half of a block of 8 ounces, so this is still 4 ounces left. So this is 4 ounces of cream cheese. To that I'm going to add 1/3 of a cup of white sugar and stir that up. Notice, no mixer again. This is a super easy, this is great for someone who doesn't have a lot of things in the kitchen. 1 egg yolk. I said yolk, it's an egg white. Separate the egg yolk out and put in your egg white. Stir it up, mix it up real good. And then I've got some clear vanilla extract. That is the part of the paper liner there. It says clear, but it's kind of got a caramel color to it, doesn't it? But it doesn't make my batter yellow, thank goodness. And then 1 cup of Baker's sweetened coconut. Or your favorite store brand. And this works great for the bundt pan too. Get these out of the way. Move my pan back over here. I'm going to use a different scoop here. Get in my drawer of all things scooper duper. I guess maybe I can't find it. I had a smaller one. I'm going to do about 1/2 scoop and kind of like where each piece of cake would be, like 1, 2, 3 across. And then space, so the next person's piece of cake will have a little dollop of coconut center. And go back and add a little bit more here to the ones. I'm leaving some over here because I have one person who's just likes plain old chalky cake, as she says. Use it all up, no waste, right? Just like that. You don't really have to do this part, it'll automatically bake over it, but I'm going to help it just a little bit because I put a little bit more than I normally would in each place. There we go. Now I'm going to bake this cake at 350 degrees for 25 to 35 minutes, depending upon your oven. And we will be back, and I'm going to show you my famous frosting. It doesn't even need frosting. This cake is so moist and delicious. Okay, we are going to check our cake, and I just wanted to show you how I test this one. This is a homemade scratch cake. And so, see, the edges are starting to kind of pull away. That's a good sign. And then you touch the middle. It's very soft, and it doesn't spring my finger right back up. And so I had set my timer for 20 minutes, and look at on the inside how wibbly it is. So I didn't poke a toothpick in it. I just tested this cake. And so we'll be back in just I'm going to set my timer for, it says 25, or I said 25 to 35 depending on your oven, and also it's a glass pan and not a metal pan. And so you can do it whatever. And so I'm going to set my timer for 5 more minutes, because sometimes that's enough, even though it's wiggly in the center. I gotta wipe that off. I've been eating all these scalloped potatoes and everything. Okay, we'll be back. Okay, my timer just went off for the 3rd time because we did it for the entire 35 minutes, but I had to add 3 more minutes with my oven at 350 because of the coconut filling. It just, I think, took 3 more minutes, and so we'll test it now. See how it kind of cracked on top? You can see how shiny that cake is. And now I'm going to show you the secret. I'm going to wiggle it. It's not wiggling. It's still good on the sides. And look at it, springs right back up. It is done. So I'm going to pull it out of the oven and we'll be back when it's cooled down and we're going to frost it. Okay, our cake is out of the oven and now we're going to make the ganache frosting. It's a type of a ganache, my kind of a ganache that I make, a semi-ganache, you might say. And I've got 1 cup of heavy whipping cream in a saucepan, and see how it's starting to bubble around the edges. Let me turn it down just a little bit here. You do not want to bring this to a boil. I'm going to center my pan a little better here. And you want to hold that up because I want to show how that side's starting. Okay, here we go. There is bubbles around the edges, and there's like a, can you see the skim on the top? It's like a skim on the top, like a skin. Shut the heat off at that point. I'm going to add a tablespoon of Karo syrup. That's close enough to a tablespoon. And here I've got some, this is $1 for a box of 6 of these, and we're not even going to use all of it. It is instant espresso powder. This is optional. If you don't have it, just leave it out. It just, to me, it just helps the chocolate to taste a little bit richer. I'm just going to add about half that packet. I'll save the other for another day. There we go. I'm going to add a pinch of salt. Whoop, I just put that top in there. I'm going to add a pinch of salt because whenever you have chocolate, to add a little salt is wonderful. And now I've got 8 ounces. I had to use my scale because those packages don't come like that anymore. And so I've got 8 ounces of chocolate chips. I use semi-sweet, but if you aren't a semi-sweet fan, then go ahead and use your milk chocolate or dark chocolate, whatever you like. Now I'm just going to let them set in that hot milk for just a second, and then I'm going to stir it. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to add the vanilla. Oh, this is a new one. I thought I had an old one. Yeah, I did. Grabbed the wrong one. Got some vanilla extract, and I'm going to add about a teaspoon. This is normally you have, I don't know if you have heavy cream at your house, but you can also, I think, use Carnation evap milk for this too. Okay, we let them set for a few seconds. Now this is going to start out really runny. And you're going to be like, oh man, did I mess up or mismeasure? What did I do wrong? I remember the first time I made ganache, I'm like, oh no, I must have got the wrong recipe. I must say, I'm not exactly always a Pinterest fan because I have tried some recipes on Pinterest and I don't know if somebody measured wrong, typed wrong, didn't test it, something, but I've had too many failures, too expensive failures on Pinterest, and I'm not exactly a fan of sometimes. See how nice that is? And look how shiny this is, and it'll be just like that on the cake. It'll be nice and shiny. There's a restaurant here in town that's a Greek restaurant, and they have a shiny chocolate cake with a ganache type frosting on it. And it's almost $5 for one piece. It's not even a layered slice cake. It's just like mine. It's in a 9 by 13 pan and they make maybe a 3-inch square. And I'm like, that's good, but mine's just as good and a whole lot less expensive. And as it cools, it's gonna, see, it's already thickening up, just like that. I've turned that heat off. See, it's starting to get thicker. And you can wait a few minutes, and when the cake is still, doesn't have to be all the way cold, but when the cake's not hot, but still warm, you can pour this right on the top of it, and it'll be just a perfect smooth, thin frosting. But I'm gonna show you, for the sake of another way to do it. You can do it just the way I showed you, and that's the end of it. I've got a little bit of, that's why I said this is a ganache type frosting. My husband loves frosting. Me, I'm like my daughter. I can make this cake and eat it without any frosting. I'm going to sift some confectioners or powdered sugar into this into the ganache to make my version of ganache type. Break those up, and that's exactly why you want to use a sifter. We'll be right back when I get this sifted out. Okay, got that all sifted through. And stir that in, and we'll beat it. We'll be Michael Jackson and beat it. You can tell I'm old. I'm the same age Michael Jackson was. Okay, see? And it's going to cool down, and it's going to thicken beautifully. We're going to put this over our coconut Mounds cake. So it's going to be almost like topping it like a Mounds bar. See what I was doing here? You know how the Mounds bar has the darker chocolate on the top? But like I said, you use the kind of chocolate that you like, or none at all. So we'll be back and finish that cake. Well, our cake is cooled down. It's down to just about room temperature. There's still a little bit of warmth on the bottom of it. And we've got our ganache. Our ganache-like, because normal ganache doesn't have the little bit of powdered sugar, confectioner sugar in it. So I'm going to save that beater for somebody special to lick. Do you have somebody in your house who likes to lick beaters? I do. Okay, so we're going to spread this on the cake. And this has cooled to room temperature. It's going to get a little thicker as it sits on the cake. Get it nice and smooth. Your spatula. My husband, when he gets home from work, is going to be one happy camper. Because he loves frosting. He loves cake. He says it's so funny. I haven't made a cake for ever. So I'm going to let this set for a little bit longer so you'll see what the top is like when we're finished. And I'm going to cut a piece of cake and I will reveal to you the coconut cake and the plain cake. And we'll see you in a little bit. Oh my goodness. Look at this homemade from scratch chocolate cake. And so I think it might be a few minutes too early, but we really can't wait because it's Sunday night and we're ready to have a piece of cake. So we're gonna go ahead. It'll set up more than this, but this is close enough. Because you know, when you want dessert, you want dessert. The first piece is always the hardest one to get out of the pan. But I want you to see this coconut chocolate cake in all of its glory. Like a Mounds bar cake. Now I'm going to do the other side. Where it's just the plain chocolate cake. I'll wipe this off here. Look at that beautiful, shiny, rich, decadent cake. And it is moist and it is delicious. I hope that you all try my Mounds cake with coconut real soon, or leave the coconut out and have a nice decadent. Now all it needs is a scoop of vanilla ice cream. Delicious. Thank you for stopping by Jana's Kitchen. Come by for some more recipes. Please hit the like and subscribe and hit the notifications so that you know when we post new videos. Thank you, and we'll talk to you soon.